Happy Friday. It's about that time for our Friday feature, and we have a good one for you guys today. We have Jared with Global Solution, who is here to give you guys a crash course on Cleerline and the importance of fiber, as well as the differences in the different types of fiber and other fiber solutions to help you in your projects. We're going to also show you exactly how to terminate fiber, and you'll see there's a reason why Cleerline is the preferred fiber in our channel, being that it's not only super simple to terminate, it's pretty much indestructible. I don't know if Jared's going to tie it in a knot and show you different ways that, you can't break this stuff with their proprietary polymer on it. Very easy to terminate. Just an FYI, we're going to have Jared in all of our 21st century locations. He was actually just in Georgia a couple weeks ago. He'll be in North Carolina a couple weeks. So if you'd like to get some actual hands-on training, just let your rep know, and we will get that set up and get you in one of our locations to get more actual hands-on training for you or your team. So without further ado, Jared, how you doing, buddy? Thanks for being here and walking through this with you. We're going to go through this within the next 30 minutes. It'll be fast, quick hitting. Like I said, a crash course. So appreciate you being here, man.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate the introduction, and it's great to be with all of you today. And thanks for your time. And yeah, like you said, I'll be in North Carolina in the next couple of weeks here. So get with your salesperson there, and if you'd like to come by and say hi and talk about Cleerline or any other of the other brands that we work with, whether it's Sonance, Just Add Power, WAC, any of those, we can talk about whatever it is you'd like to talk about. But obviously today we're here to talk about Cleerline fiber, and so like Mark said, we're going to kind of keep this more of a high-level simplistic thing, just try and define a few terms and then show you how to terminate, because that's really where the magic is. So to start off with, we're going to go kind of quickly here, but please don't hesitate to ask questions, put them in the chat. We'll periodically check those, and then we'll stay on, of course, as long as is needed in order to get all those questions answered. So when we talk about, fiber, the question that I like to ask people is, why don't we think about putting it everywhere? Because right now, there's certain times where people think about it. And one of those is, of course, long runs of network connectivity. And another one, of course, is high bandwidth situations. But why don't we use it everywhere? Why do we only limit it to those two categories when it can be used everywhere? And the argument has kind of always been, well, it's a future-proof technology. And while that is true, it also, the future is kind of now, because there's a lot of people using it and a lot of people want it for a lot of different reasons. So my thought that I want to throw out to you is we should use it at every single network location, whether you're connecting multiple switches together in the same equipment rack, or maybe you have switches that are spread out across the home or the business. Fiber is an ideal way to connect all of those up. That's a little bit more long-term secure and less susceptible to RF or lightning strikes or anything like that than copper cable would be. Also, I'd throw out there that you want to put it pull it to every single TV location, and I'll tell you in a few minutes how you can do that real quickly, but that's something to think about that you may haven't in the past. And really the idea here that I want to plant the seed in your mind of is every cat drop should be a fiber drop. So everywhere you're pulling cat cable, there's no reason why you shouldn't be pulling fiber at the same time. And again, we'll go into a few more examples here in a minute. To talk specifically about what Cleerline has done and why I call it the brilliance of what they have done is because it's not the same as traditional fiber. It's easier to handle, and they've basically taken all of the hard and scary things about fiber that we all shy away from and moved them off of the table and made it very, very easy and simple to handle and to work with and to terminate. And like I said, made it very simple. What they have done here, though, and the brilliance of it is the glass on the inside is the exact same glass as every other fiber that's out there. So it's compatible distance-wise, bandwidth-wise. You can fuse it together with any other fiber and it'll work. The glass is the exact same. The difference is on the right-hand graphic there, you see a traditional fiber which has a larger, what they call a 900 micron size buffer on it, which is kind of a harder plastic jacket, and you use a stripper tool to strip that off. Then underneath that, there is a hard acrylate that is kind of like a harder rubberized feeling type material. And you use a different stripper to strip that off right around the core and the cladding of the glass. As you can see with Cleerline, there's two things that are very different. One is their proprietary polymer that goes around the glass that protects it so that it doesn't shatter, it doesn't crack, it doesn't break. Like Mark mentioned, and I'll demonstrate this here in a few minutes, you can literally tie it in a knot and yank on it, and it doesn't break it. So you can pull it around a corner, and you don't have to be nearly as gentle with it as you typically would with traditional fiber. And then the second thing that they've done is they have a soft peel acrylate instead of a hard one. So instead of using a tool to pull that off, you just literally use your fingernails and peel it off with your fingernails, and you're not using a tool that you have to be careful right around that glass cladding. Even if you did use a tool, there still is that polymer around it that protects it. So there's those two proprietary things that really change the game as to how we handle it, how we terminate it, and so on. And they call this SSF, and the SSF stands for stronger, safer, and faster. And what we mean by that is it's stronger than cat cable, safer than traditional fiber, and faster to terminate than both of them. And I can tell you a real quick story is I've terminated fiber so much over the past year that a couple of months ago I had to terminate a cat cable in my own home. And after I was in the middle of untwisting the second pair, I started to get really upset because I thought to myself, man, I'd have been done with fiber already, and I'm not even close to the termination point of this cat cable. So once you do this a couple of times, you'll get really quick and efficient with it, and you'll realize that, yes, this is very different than what you're used to thinking of with traditional fiber. Just to kind of define a few terms here so that we all are kind of on the same playing field as to what fiber is, because I know in this category there are a lot of different things that you may have heard these words but might not fully understand exactly what they mean. And so we certainly want to define those just to kind of give you a little bit of an education baseline. So the basic components of fiber are very similar to cat cable. You have the cable itself, of course, then you have the termination connectors, and then the piece that is an additional add here is the SFP module, which is what slides into that slot on your switch or your AV equipment or whatever it is you're connecting into. And we'll go through that here in just a minute. There are different fiber modes. You've probably heard the terms multi-mode and single mode. Multi-mode is just a larger piece of glass. So imagine kind of holding a garden hose in your hand and looking down the center of the garden hose. The multi-mode is going to be larger, and single mode is going to be much, much smaller. And as you can see on that graphic there, the difference is when the light goes down multi-mode, it has the ability to kind of bounce around a little bit. And because of that bouncing back and forth down the tube, it does not have the ability to go as far. Whereas with single mode being a much smaller tube, it doesn't bounce around. The light just pretty much goes straight down it. And so distance really doesn't become a concern at all. It can go much, much further. On top of that, there are terms called simplex and duplex. And simplex essentially refers to a single piece of fiber in a single jacket. And duplex refers to a single piece of fiber in a single jacket fused together. Now, this is very similar to the old lamp cord or the old RCA cables where you could pull them or peel them apart. Same thing here. You can do that. They're just kind of put together. And the reason why duplex is so common is because it allows you to have send and receive in the same cable. One of them does send and one of them does receive. And so duplex by far is the most commonly used because it has the ability to do that. Simplex is also, of course, used in certain situations, but most of the time your go-to piece is probably going to end up being multi-mode duplex, just because that's what's most common and easiest to do. So hopefully that helps define a couple of things here. With
Sure.
that said, a general rule of thumb is, and this is not always the case, but just kind of in general, you usually use multi-mode around the home or inside the home or the business, and then you'll use single mode for any run that's over 1,000 feet. One of the questions that I get all the time is, well, if single mode works everywhere, why can't I just use single mode all the time? And the answer is you certainly can. Some of the AV components, video over IP components, are set up to kind of use a multi-mode connection, but in that case, you'd certainly want to use multi-mode, but you could use single mode everywhere if you wanted to. There'd be no problem with that. Also, just so that you know, there is a standardization of colors across all fiber brands. This is not just unique to Cleerline. This is pretty much everybody, unless they put theirs in just a straight old, black jacket. But for the most part, you can determine just by looking at the color of the jacket as to what type of fiber you're dealing with. And I bring this up so that if you ever come across a job that has already had fiber pulled in it, and you're trying to determine what is it that I'm working with here, you should be able to instantly recognize it just by looking at the color of the jacket. And the two that are by far the most common, and by far I mean like 95% of the time, it's going to be either the aqua jacket for multi-mode or the yellow jacket for single mode.
That's universal, Jared?
That is universal, yep. Again, there are some companies that will just put things in just a black jacket, and then you have to look at the printing on it to determine what it is. But for the most part, yes, that is universal.
Fiber that's run from ISPs providers, isn't that normally single mode?
It's almost always single mode,
okay,
because of the distance. Yes. Okay, great questions. Anything else before we continue on?
No, not yet. We'll get into the distance of single mode and multi-mode and when to use it in each application,
okay,
right?
Sure, can do. Okay, there are different termination ends. They all terminate the same way. They all end up doing the same thing as an end result. The one that you will use 95+% of the time is going to be the LC connector, because it's physically smaller and it is the one that slides into SFP modules. Why do the others exist? Well, because over the years, different manufacturers or different companies have developed a different type of connector, and so there are different ones. The one that your ISP is going to be using most of the time is going to be that one on the bottom that's in green, the SC-APC. And again, it's just a specific connector that they prefer. It's a little bit larger, and it will be a single mode cable that they bring to the location, whether that's a home or a business. But terminating for yourself, most likely you're going to use LC most of the time. And then with SFP modules, obviously there are different types of modules, whether you're using single mode or multi-mode, whether you're using simplex or duplex. There's one thing that I do want to kind of call to your attention, and that is that SFP usually equals a 1 gigabit connection, and SFP plus denotes a 10 gigabit connection. And I say that because there's no reason for you to buy an SFP plus module if the switch that you're plugging it into does not have 10 gig capability on in its SFP slot. So the good news is you don't necessarily have to remember all of these parts and pieces. What you do need to know is that the great team at 21st is here for you to reach out to help you put them together. And if one of them aren't exactly sure, then they have great resources in us, and we're more than happy to help put all of the parts and pieces together for you to help make sure that you get what it is you need for that particular job correctly. So the connection sequence, of course, is as you would imagine. You have the cable that goes into a terminated end, which then goes into an SFP module, which then goes into that open slot on the switch or the AV gear, or whatever it is you're plugging it into. Most of the time, it's going to be a network type of equipment. Okay, so that's how it kind of all goes together. From a Cleerline standpoint, I just want to point out that we have you covered, whether it's indoor or outdoor. We have multiple different indoor options, also outdoor options. We have ones that if you need to directly bury a cable in the dirt, we have a corrugated armored steel that is meant for direct burial. If you're pulling it through conduit, we have the rugged series that is meant to go through conduit. If you're just running through the walls, we have platinum rated products. So pretty much anything that you need whether it's indoor or outdoor, we have a product that will cover that for you. We also have termination and testing kits. The termination kit, of course, you do need to, in order to get started and be able to terminate the fiber. Testing kits are kind of at your own discretion. You do not need one of them unless someone is, asking you to actually certify the cable or, something like that. But most of the time, as you'll see here in just a moment when we terminate, if you get a light through the end of the cable, it's going to work. So it's pretty visual whether it's going to work or not. We also have a bunch of media converters, SFP to SFP. Why would you ever want to use that? Well, if you're converting from, say, one type of fiber, single mode to multi-mode, for example, you could use a converter like that. A common one, of course, is the one in the middle that is SFP to RJ45. I think that's pretty self-explanatory as to where you'd want to use that. And then we also have some switches that have some PoE in them and some converters that go fiber in and then a couple of Ethernet ports out. We, of course, also have a full line of SFP modules as well. And again, not that you need to know all of the parts and pieces. We are more than happy to help you with getting the correct ones for the job that you've got going on. And then, like I mentioned, we do have a line of network switches as well. These are all unmanaged switches, so there's no interface for you to log into. The ones that I want to kind of call your attention to is, first of all, the one in the middle, which is Ethernet in, and then a whole bunch of SFP ports so that you can distribute the fiber out to all of the different locations around the home or business that you're working on. The one in the top left is a great piece that's very small that you can put behind every TV location. Remember, we talked about that at the beginning. And this allows you to go fiber in and then Ethernet out so that you can locally connect up, or there's a PoE version of it that you can light up whatever it is, whether it's the smart TV or the Roku or Apple TV. If there's a video distribution piece back there that you need PoE for, it can do that. So now you're locally powering everything, but using the fiber to run all of the data to that location. Works really, really well. The other one is on the bottom left, which is a rugged piece, and there's one on the bottom right there as well. That's an 8-port instead of a 4-port. These are fantastic for uses outside in a NEMA box, where maybe you need to put some things together on a boat dock or a front gate or something like that. And we'll get into some of those scenarios. We also make pre-terminated patch cables. I know that there's several of the 21st locations that have these in stock currently. These are great pieces, just like an RCA pre-terminated cable or an HDMI. They are literally grab and go. They're already made. They're already set for you to connect up switches, for example, and you just plug them in and they go. And so you don't even need to terminate anything. They do have them in stock currently and are available for you to go get. We also do pre-custom terminated cables. So if you don't want to terminate it, you need a specific length and you want specific ends on it. We do offer the service as well of creating that custom length and terminating them and testing them and then sending them out. Obviously, there's some business days worth of time in doing that, but it is an option that we offer. And then lastly, we also make HDMI active optical cable. This does have fiber in between, so you can run really long distances with this cable. We make these for lots of other brands as well. So if you're using another brand that has this, we actually are the ones that are making the fiber inside that cable. And so we have these as well that are generally a little bit less expensive and are the exact same cable that does the exact same thing. So something to keep in mind as well. Real quickly, before we get into termination, just to kind of circle back to the beginning here, we want to, think of always connecting network switches. If you're going to connect them, whether they're in the same location or whether they're spread out across multiple locations across the home that you're working in, fiber is highly recommended to connect all of those switches up. We talked about every display location and using that small little switch behind every TV to connect everything there. Of course, this is a small sample diagram of what that could look like, where you have fiber coming into that small switch and then cat cable, of course, going out to, all of the different things that you may need to power up or to connect up for network connectivity. And then, of course, lastly, if you're going to do something like with outdoor gates or cameras, typically at a gate like this, you're going to have an intercom, some sort of control keypad. Maybe it's tied into your automation system. There might also be a camera out there, and fiber is a great way to connect up this front gate, especially if it's a pretty decent distance from the main home. And then put one of those rugged switches out in the NEMA box, and then power up everything that you need to from that standpoint right there. So again, just trying to throw out some ideas of things that you can do to use fiber today. There is a tech support line that you're welcome to call, or like I said, you're welcome to call the great team at 21st. So to wrap up before we jump into the termination here, fiber can go where cat goes and should at this point. Cleerline is stronger, safer, and faster than cat and traditional fiber, and we have all of the accessories and things that you need to make a complete fiber system. It's not just the cable itself. So with that said, let's jump into the termination of things, and I'm going to stop sharing this for just a moment. And I'm going to turn on camera here. See if we can, I think Mark's working to expand that out a little bit, but hopefully you can see all of that there. We good to go there, Mark? All right. So this is how we terminate it. I'm going to just take this. This is just a little laser light that comes in the kit. And I'm going to turn that on so that, I don't know if this will show over camera, but you can kind of see here that there's a light that's shining onto my hand there, that this light is coming through. So to terminate, the things that you're going to need are these clippers here. There are snips. There's some shears that are inside here that you're also going to need. And then, of course, the fiber cleaver and the terminated end. And so we'll go through this real quickly. So I'm going to take my clippers here, and the first thing I'm going to do is just take the very, very top notch that's at the, oops, let me make sure I can get that in the frame there. The very top notch of these clippers here. And I'm just going to go down the jacket about 1.5 to 2 inches and just snip it. I just need to snip it. I don't need to snip and pull or anything like that. I just cut it, and then the jacket just comes right off like this. And you can see inside the jacket here that there's two things. There's the fiber right here that you can now see the lit up end. And then there's these Kevlar yarns. And this is what you're going to use to pull the cable. So you're not pulling on the jacket. You're not pulling on the fiber. You want to use the Kevlar. And this is what gives it its pull strength to be able to pull 10 times harder than you do with cat cable. Because, again, you're using the Kevlar to pull on that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take and unscrew the boot off of my terminated end, and I'm going to slide that onto the jacket here. And it can just slide down a little bit, okay? What you're left with is this particular piece right here, which is that soft peel polymer that I talked about. And I'm just going to take my fingernails, and I'm going to peel this polymer right off of the glass. Now, the cool thing is remember that other proprietary polymer is still inside it. So for those of you that have ever dealt with regular traditional fiber before, if I go and I poke it into my hand like this, you can see that it just bends. It doesn't break. I can take it and I can bend it. I can twist it. I can push it however I want, and it's still very, very sturdy, and it doesn't just shatter. Any of you, again, that have dealt with traditional fiber, if you've ever taken your fingers and bent it like this on traditional fiber, it is shattered at that point. It's done, okay? So the next thing I need to do is cut this to the correct length so that it will fit properly into the connector, and that's where this fiber cleaver comes in. And so what I'm going to do is take this and put it at the correct length, and for an LC connector, I'm going to put the edge of this blue jacket here at the 24 millimeter mark on my connector. And I'm just going to take this and cut it and be done, okay? Now it's the correct length. And you can see it's still shining through onto my hand, okay? Now, on this connector, there is a clear plastic window that as I slide this forward, you'll see this light go through it. This clear plastic window also slides forward, and that's what locks the fiber into place. So I'm going to lift up the little hinge here on this door. I'm going to slide the fiber into it. I'm going to try and hold it here so you can see. You'll see that it lights up that little clear plastic window. When it gets to the very end and the very tip, you'll see that that light either dims out completely or just dims significantly. And that's when you know you're in far enough. You take and slide forward that little clear plastic piece, and the fiber is now locked into that connector. I'm going to take, and you'll also notice, I don't know how well you can see this, but you'll also notice that the jacket now fits perfectly into that little slot right there in the connector. I'll take this, close it down, slide the boot up, and twist the boot into position and start to twist it on. Now you're asking yourself, why didn't I cut those fiber yarns off beforehand? Well, the reason why is now that they are going through that connector, if someone comes along and pulls on the jacket, they're pulling on those Kevlar yarns, not on the fiber itself. So I'm going to take the shears, and you definitely want to watch your fingers on this because these things are really, really sharp. But I'm going to cut off the fiber or the Kevlar at this point and finish twisting up the boot, and that's it. I'm done. Okay, and now you can still see I've got the fiber coming or light coming through there. That's it. And I went really, really slow to describe this to you and show you how to do it. But that literally is it. That's all you have to do. Once you do this 4, 5, 6 times, like I mentioned earlier, you will be doing this in less than a minute. And you'll get very, very good at it. And like I said, when you get light coming out of the end there, you're good to go. It's going to connect up. And that's really about it.
And that's
all you have to do to terminate the fiber product on Cleerline. So
and that
now that we've gone over all of that,
we have the termination kit in stock at all of our locations too. So, and that comes with everything that you just saw right there.
Okay, so questions.
The only other question we have, we're right at time. This is perfect. From Eric, does the rugged switches support VLANs? Are they manageable?
Currently, no. All of them are unmanaged switches. So they obviously would support a VLAN if you have just a single VLAN going out to that, but that would be the only subnet that switch would know.
So you need someone on the far end moving the LED when terminating. No, you just hook it up, right? It'll come right through.
You do not need a second person. You just you use the little light that is provided and comes in the termination kit.
Very good. Yeah, good questions. Thank you so much, Jared. I mean, again, very easy. There's a video that you guys have on your website where you can do it in like 30 seconds. So once you get good at it, it'd be quicker than terminating cat cable. So if you wanted more hands-on training, like I said, Jared's gonna be at all of our 21st Century locations. Get with your rep. We can get you guys set up. Of course, this video is going to be on our virtual conference center. You can check it out anytime. So, Jared, thank you so much. Really appreciate your time today.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate you inviting me and appreciate everybody's time today. And we'll talk to you soon.
Sell fiber.
That's right. Sell fiber.
Every job. Especially, I mean, new construction is the key, right? I mean,
yeah.
Retrofitting it is. I didn't see this too. Don't you guys also make like an invisible fiber? Do you do like what do you do for like retrofitting applications?
Well, it's still the same thing. You still have to be able to pull something through, pull some sort of cable through.
We're talking about like new projects, new applications, new construction, right?
Yeah, new or remodel or, again, it's a cable. You have to get it from point A to point B. So,
right.
I do see one other question that's come in here about, do the ends work with legacy fiber? And the answer is yes, they do, because, again, the glass that we use is the same size as everybody else's. So, yes, you can use our ends with standard fiber.
Very good. Great, Jared. Thank you so much for your time, buddy. Really appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks, gentlemen. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
We'll talk soon. Happy Friday. Next week we got Ultra Lab, so check us out next week for some networking training. Thanks, everybody.